I apologize in advance if this wasn't what you were expecting when it came to like my next just random standalone book review, but we don't shy away from nonfiction in this house, so here's where we find ourselves. So Preachers and Sneakers is a book that's like not based on the Instagram account, but it's about this Instagram account, the Preachers and Sneakers Instagram account. It is run by this man, Ben Kirby. And the way he started this Instagram account was he was just going about his business on like a Sunday after, like on a Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, listening to like Elevation worship or some shit. And what he noticed, and what I probably wouldn't have noticed, is that the guy leading worship at Elevation was wearing like a pair of $800 Yeezys. And he was like, essentially like, yo, what the fuck is this? Like, we should all get on the payroll if like the worship leaders are wearing $800 sneakers. As you could imagine, this drew a lot of followers and drew a lot of ire his way from like other pastors. And the reason why I heard of him was because a pastor that I grew up with was on this Instagram account. And you could imagine the scream I scrumped when I was listening to the audiobook and I heard his name dropped in the book again. So anyway, the book is about how this one man kind of came up against like the Christian culture and then hyper-capitalism kind of marrying together, which is how you get like these super like affluenza, like there's a word for this, prosperity gospel, like these super prosperity gospel pastors. And it's not something that I personally would have noticed because I'm not really a sneakerhead. Like the closest I get to like fancy sneakers is like Vans that are not on sale. And him being like, yo, like what the fuck is up with these like $800 shoes or like $5,000 tracksuits or whatever. Like I saw like a $6,000 sweater on there once. For him to be like, yo, like what the hell is this? Like there's like a whole thing in the Bible where it's like a camel can pass through the eye of a needle before a rich man can enter the gates of heaven. And it does seem like pastors have lost their way with that. But then the book also gets into how he himself was dealing with like his newfound fame with like this Instagram account and like getting cool with celebrities like Joel McHale, who wrote the foreword for this, and he actually read his own foreword for the audiobook, which is pretty cool. And then other pastors were like, yo, like you're posting with celebrities too. Like you're on the same level as us. And then we have to sit there and deal with that. It's like if we're calling out like the culture of pastors, like, you know, having their own merch lines and, you know, asking for like these crazy tithes and offerings when they're wearing $800 shoes, can you also run your own merch store with that? I think that he can. Like, he's not a pastor, guys. And this whole Instagram account also kind of sheds light on how normalized this stuff is, because my church had merch. They had a merch line. They had logos. They had like, I used to go to school wearing youth group label shit. And that was just completely normal to me. And then when I grew up and I started meeting friends like outside of the religion, they would just look at me like I had 7 heads. Like, you had a church sweater? Like, you had a church fit? Like, are you serious? The sad part is that I wish I still had some of that stuff, because then I could show it to you for the purposes of this video. Anyway, if you're a person who is into like evangelical culture or just deconstructionist culture, because I'm not saying this guy's deconstructionist or whatever, but like this is a book that gets into like the dark side of Christian culture, and that part is interesting. And if you're into that and like the marriage of Christianity and capitalism and economics and all of that, like this is a really cool book to read or listen to, because they do a really good job reading it. That being said, though, I'm aware that this is probably not the content that you came here for. The book I read after that book was this book, which is a wide shoes vampire book, and I might be a wide shoes girly. Like just to get back to like, you know, romantasy book talk.